I am Atty. 𝗘𝗺𝗶𝗹𝗲 Tenazas. I graduated from 𝗠𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗀 College of Law. I've been in the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, particularly at the Biodiversity Management Bureau for 19 years. And in 2023, I left the government service and now I'm into private practice. When I was in the Biodiversity Management Bureau, I was handling the Wildlife Resources Division, wherein we handle the regulation of wildlife trade, the sustainable and ethical use of wildlife resources, particularly conservation of our species. We also are engaged in several international commitments like the Convention on Biological Diversity, the CITES, or what is known as the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna, and many other conventions wherein we tackle about biological conservation, environmental stewardship, and of course it includes in general utilization but sustainable and ethical use of our natural resources. The use of our natural resources or our biological resources has different treatments in terms of legality or in terms of compliance with the national and international standard or protocols. In the Philippines, the use or legal trade of our wildlife resources is being governed by the Wildlife Act or the RA 9147, where it regulates use of our endangered species and trade of our wildlife species. In terms of legality, we are allowed to use our natural resources, but we must comply with the Wildlife Act or our national law vis-a-vis the international law. When you say sustainable use, you must comply with the trade or the legal trade, meaning to say you must be aware that the source must be legal, verified, and documented. The trade as well, the utilization, even the transport should comply with our national protocols or national law. And in the Philippines, these are discussed or provided for under the law and other department administrative orders. Without complying with these laws, you'll be apprehended. Everything else that comes with it, like the use, the trade, the transportation of this threatened species, will be apprehended, will be confiscated, and you'll soon facing several litigation with respect to violation of the Wildlife Act. As part of our mandate in DNR or in a Wildlife Resources Division in Biodiversity Management Bureau is to combat illegal wildlife trade. And that includes, of course, wildlife, flora, and fauna. And when I used to work with the Wildlife Resources Division, I am a member in pursuing against these illegal traffickers, especially those threatened species that are not listed for trade. And we have this so-called POGI, or the Philippine Operations Group on Ivory and Illegal Wildlife Trade. It is composed of several law enforcement agencies like NBI, Bureau of Customs, CIDG, of course the DNR, and this our group of people are working against illegal trade of wildlife. I also work with United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, particularly on environmental crimes. We have formed a special group wherein I work with the NBI, with the PNP Maritime, with the Bureau of Customs, with the Palawan Council for Sustainable Development, other regional offices. We are focused in combating illegal wildlife trade. We work with other government agencies to find out the sources of these illegally trafficked animals or even plants. We also work with our international partners, international organizations, or our neighboring countries, particularly the Asian group, because we know that wildlife trafficking is a transnational crime. It's a cross-border violation of environmental laws. I also work with the Interpol, with the Wildlife Crime Group, And in this kind of group, all nations are gathered together in one objective, and that is to combat illegal wildlife trade, particularly in combating environmental crimes. When I was working with the DENR, and particularly with the BMB, we used to join the operations of the NBI in confiscating illegally traded agarwood. And when I was in that office, actually, I used to take care of this apprehended species until we turn them over to particular courts for submission as evidence. The DENR, particularly BMB, is very serious in pursuing the illegal use, illegal trade, and illegal transport of these threatened species. Why? Because they are not documented, they are not verified, and of course, they are not coming from legal source. And in most cases, they were products of transport of critically endangered species like pangolin, the pangolin scales. Most of our apprehended wildlife species byproducts are the agarwood chips, agarwood branches. They could not show any legal documents to show proof that they were acquired from legal source. When you are apprehended using this or trading this illegally sourced species, that would also include the transportation or the vehicle that was used in transporting or trading these species. When I used to work in BNB, we have several transportations or vehicles impounded in that area. Why I am always encouraging you to engage in legal trade, and that is because I do not want you to face prosecution that would be an endless problem on your part. Once your reputation is tarnished, you cannot be able to go to legal practice anymore. So therefore, from the very beginning, I encourage you to pursue legal trade, legal sourcing, permitting, and of course, following all the standards and regulations that the government is providing us. With those having said, your headache will be gone and you'll for sure succeed in agarwood business. And UAPI is practicing these advices that I've started to give them since day one when I started to work with them. Again, I am Atty. Theresa Tenazas, and as the consultant of UAPI, you'll be confident that the UAPI would be pursuing this business for as long as I'm here, making sure that they are compliant with all the regulations, standards, and laws being imposed by our government, particularly the Wildlife Act and the International Convention on Endangered Species, and we'll be supporting you as well in providing you legal and technical know-how. Just to be sure that UAPI would always be compliant, I will always be behind them, providing them legal and technical knowledge. Thank you very much.